Hello, my loves, and welcome. We are actually kicking off our throat series today, talking about all of the beautiful gates inside of our throat center. So, we wanted to start this off by explaining a little bit about what the throat center is and how you could tell what type of voice you were designed with based on your human design chart.
So, before we get into all of the nuances of the throat and especially the gates, it will be super helpful for you if you have your body graph already. If you don't, that's okay. You can go out to darcyandsarah.com, pull your human body graph for free. You'll see the link for that in the notes below. So, go ahead and grab that and then come back and join us.
Okay, so once you have your chart, you're going to see these, we call them centers. They are aligned with our chakras, and you'll just see like a picture of them. You'll see a triangle at the top, a triangle underneath, and then you'll see a square, and it's where you would see the throat. And this is where all of the energy comes through our design and empowers our voice. So when you look at this throat center, it's going to look one of three ways. Either it's going to be filled in with color.
Yep. And if you've pulled that from Darcy and Sarah, you might notice that it's pink or blue or white.
Yes. So if it's pink or blue, that is called a defined throat. What that means is that you have consistent access to your throat energy. You were born to speak at any time.
Yep.
Now, if it is white, but the numbers that are around that square, if any of them are defined, which would look like what if they pulled the body graph from our
They'll
site?
show little black circles over particular numbers. So a black circle over a 31 or a 20 or a 16 or any of the numbers in that square.
Perfect. So if it's white, but you have those numbers black, that means that you have what we call an undefined throat.
Right.
And if it's white with none of the numbers highlighted, that means you have an open throat. So what's the difference between defined, undefined, and open? If you have a defined throat, that means, like we said, you have consistent access to a throat. Generally speaking, you probably find it easy to talk, and you feel like it's always something that you can just do naturally. If you have an undefined throat, it means that you kind of struggle with finding your voice. Your voice isn't always consistent. It may be harder for you to just naturally speak, or you may feel this huge pressure to speak because you feel insecure about being able to speak, and you feel like that pressure of like, oh my gosh, I should be speaking because all these other people are speaking. What's going to happen if you have some of those gates highlighted is that when that energy comes in through that openness in your throat, it wants to filter through those gates. So as we move through this series and we start talking about those specific gates, you get a better understanding of what those filters look like. Now, if you have none of the gates defined, it's completely white, none of the numbers are highlighted, this means you have a completely open throat. It means that you're constantly absorbing and amplifying the voices of all those people around you without any filters, right? So it's wide open. Now, the benefit of this, the beauty of this, is that you can take in and amplify anybody's throat. This is like the ability to channel, the ability to tap into all of the voices and the power of the throat. But the downside to that is that it only activates when it activates.
It activates when it activates, but it also makes you an excellent advocate for others who just don't feel enough power to use their own voice,
Mm.
which makes you really special in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes the things that we look at in human design and say, oh, I see this as a weakness, is actually our biggest gift. It only appears as a weakness because it's something, it's a space where we can be conditioned in. But when we work out that conditioning, that's when we really find the power of our voice. So for example, we live in an environment that conditions us to speak, right? And to share your thoughts. We have social media where everybody's on there talking.
Yep.
And so if you have an open throat, you may compare yourself to people and think, I should be more comfortable. Or, God, I'm so nervous when I get onto a live. Or I'm uncomfortable as I sit here and try and talk about the things that I want to talk about. But the beauty in that is once you realize that it's not that you have a weak throat, it's that you have a very particular throat that wants to be used at very particular times. And there's a lot of power in that.
So, the interesting thing about your throat center is that it's connected to lots of other centers. So you see all the numbers around your voice box, if you will, and each one of those, it's almost like the energy is coming up and out or up and through a different chakra, and so that can certainly flavor the way that that voice comes through, because you're combining two centers almost into one.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are looking at your chart and you notice that the ajna, which is right here, is is connected to your throat, and you would know that it was connected because you would see colored lines connecting those two chakras. That means you're here to share a point of view. You're here to share how you think about things, the way that you sort of conceptualize things. But if that throat is connected to, let's say, your G center, which is all about identity, then this means that you're here to talk about, or from that space of like who you are. People who have throats connected to their G center, they speak from like their soul, like their identity. So
Yeah.
when they share something and somebody doesn't, accept it, it can feel like a personal attack.
A
Like,
rejection.
yeah.
It's not even a rejection of who you are, it's literally just how that person may have been feeling that day.
Mm-hmm.
What about the spleen?
If it's connected to the spleen is all about instinct. The spleen is very animalistic. So these are like instinctual hits that come up, and all of a sudden your throat turns on, and it's like, say this.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really know why you're being called to say it, but your spleen spontaneously lets you know, right now, say this.
It's kind of like when your fight or flight turns on. You don't know why always that it turns on, but that's that urge that comes up from your spleen.
Mm-hmm.
Sacral.
It could also be connected to your sacral. Your sacral is slightly different from your spleen in that the spleen is instinct, where the sacral is intuition. It's more of like a gut knowing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the difference between the spleen and the sacral is that spleen does not have a motor, so it's one and done. So if you have a voice connected to the spleen, like my girlfriend here, Darcy, if that activates, it's going to say this,
Yep.
and then it will go quiet, and she has just that opportunity to say it. And if she doesn't say it, the opportunity is gone. Now that's different from your intuition, which is a motor that pulsates. So it will sound like, say it. Come on, say it.
Man,
Come
if
on,
you
say
don't
it.
listen, I can say for me, if I don't listen to that, say it, say it, say it, say it, say it, it is just going to get louder and more annoying, because that thing that needs to be said needs to be said, and it will literally make me sick to my stomach.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the last way that it could be connected is to your solar plexus. And your solar plexus is all about emotions. And so here you're really designed to communicate about how you feel about things, right? The emotions that you're experiencing. So it's really important for you to take a look at where or what your throat is connected to, because it sort of gives you an idea of how this energy is flowing through your body. I like to think of the color inside of this chart as like bodies of water, and noticing how that body of water moves. And when you're looking at the chart where you see those white areas, that's where that water separates, right? But where you see all that color flow together, that gives you an idea of how that energy moves through your body, moves through your chakras. And the more you learn about these gates, the more you learn about the chakras, the more of our podcasts you listen to,
Yeah.
the better idea you're going to get about your specific energy and how it's designed to work.
We missed one.
What did
We're
we
going to come
miss?
back to that in a second. But the emotions are very interesting, the emotional center, because I have found when I work with clients that are married and they're trying to understand their human design and their partner's human design, there's this common um, complaint, if you will, that comes up. And they are just trying to understand why their partner can't talk about their emotions. And literally, there's a block.
Yeah.
The energy doesn't flow all the way through. So they're not actually designed to talk about their emotions naturally, inherently. But we missed the heart center.
Oh, yes, the heart center.
Willpower, my
Yes.
favorite, competition.
Your ego.
Yep, your ego.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. You're talking from an empowered space. You're supposed to be using your voice to empower people when it's connected to your heart center.
Yes.
What you were talking about is so pivotal, because I have worked with couples where the one couple is very heady, meaning they have a lot of color in their head. They're very logical thinkers. That's what's flowing into their voice. And so they want to talk about the details.
The
They want
logic.
they want to talk about the logic.
Oh, and there's always a logic, and then there's an emotion, and the
It's so
emotion wants to
crazy.
talk about their feelings. They don't understand the logic. The logic wants to talk about the logic. They don't understand their feelings, and lo and behold, here we are in couples counseling.
Yeah, and really it's just about understanding that we are all designed in a different way because we all have different purposes, we all have different missions, right? And so it's really about honoring the other person. This isn't about what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad. My design's better than your design. It's there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
Everybody's designed perfectly for them and why they came down here.
Okay, so if this is the first podcast that you found, you're going to have 11 more for all the gates of the throat. So we can't wait to see you there. Talk to you soon. Love you. Mean it. Bye. We hope today's show resonated with you. If you want to be the first to hear about our upcoming shows, make sure you follow the Soul Led Duo podcast on YouTube and wherever you catch your podcasts. Check out darcyandsarah.com for show notes, your free human design chart, and other goodies. And we'll catch you next time. Love you, mean it. Bye.